She gave her last dollar to the man who owned the entire city. This isn't just a story, it's a test. What happens when extreme kindness meets extreme cynicism? Sara is a waitress drowning in debt, working double shifts just to survive. Howard is a secret millionaire, a rich man so bored and broken by the world's greed that he's convinced all humanity is corrupt. To prove his dark theory, he goes undercover as a homeless stranger, designing a cruel kindness test to expose the world's selfishness. But he never, ever planned on her. Have you ever felt like the world is just unfair? Like no good deed goes unpunished, and kindness is a weakness? This video is the story of that exact feeling. It's a story about Sara, a woman who had nothing, but was willing to give everything. And Howard, the millionaire who had everything, but felt absolutely nothing. This is not a fairy tale. This is a story of drama, of being humiliated, and the emotional wreckage we cause when we lose faith. The stakes are higher than you think. This isn't just about a test, it's about a life-changing collision. Howard's game is designed to break people, to prove they are all fake. He is determined to prove Sara's kindness is just an act. He will push her, ridicule her, and set a shocking trap to watch her fail. But what he discovers is a plot twist so powerful, it shatters his entire reality. He was testing her. But destiny was testing him. Get ready for a story that will challenge how you see everyone around you. You are not going to believe the ending of this heart-touching journey. This is the story of how one simple act of gratitude led to a redemption no one saw coming, and proved that true love is the only real wealth. If you believe in the power of kindness, comment "kindness wins" right now. And make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because this love story is one you have to see to believe. Now, let's begin. The night was biting cold, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes you question your choices. Inside the 24-hour diner, the air was stale with the smell of old coffee and lingering grease. This was Sara Dixon's world, a worn-out stage where she played the part of the smiling waitress. She watched the rain lash against the glass, a miserable canvas of a forgotten Tuesday night. Few customers meant few tips, but Sara's warmth was, believe it or not, a constant. Her kindness was the only thing in that diner that didn't feel cheap or tired. She was the absolute opposite of a rich man, yet she had a heart of pure gold. Then, the bell above the door chimed, a tinny, sad sound. It brought in a gust of wind and a man who looked. Well, he looked like the end of the line. He was just a stranger, soaked to the skin, shivering, wrapped in rags that barely passed for clothes. This man, who looked like he didn't have a penny to his name, was, in fact, a millionaire. Howard Fields, the titan of industry, was deep undercover in his perfect, pathetic disguise. He was in the middle of a cynical, private kindness test, a bitter game he played with the world. He was out to prove, once and for all, that compassion was a performance, a total lie. Sara Dixon watched him from the counter, her heart giving that familiar, stupid tug. She knew that look, it was the look of someone who had given up, who was invisible. God, he looks frozen solid, she thought to herself, wincing at his blue-tinted skin. She glanced at her own tip jar. Almost empty. She checked her wallet. $1 single dollar. It was, by all accounts, a terrible financial decision. It was her bus fare home. But seeing him shake, seeing that raw misery. It was a deeply emotional sight. This wasn't a game to her, this was just Tuesday. She walked over, a steaming mug of black coffee in her hands, no questions asked. "This one's on me," she said, her voice soft, cutting through the diner's hum. Howard Fields looked up, and for a split second, his mask of cynical detachment cracked. He had expected to be thrown out, ignored, maybe even publicly humiliated. Instead, he was met with the aroma of hot coffee and an act of pure, unsolicited kindness. This simple, heart-touching moment was the first domino to fall in his dark theory. It was an anomaly, a glitch in the system he had built his worldview upon. The secret millionaire took the mug, his rough, disguised hands wrapping around the warmth. He watched her walk away, watched Sara Dixon simply go back to wiping down the counter. Well, I'll be damned. He just couldn't process the data. Why would she do that? She gained nothing. There was no audience. There was no reward. It was an act of what? Gratitude for her own meager life? It made no sense. He, a rich man who could buy the entire city block, had just been saved by $1. This kindness test was, quite suddenly, taking a very unexpected turn. What Howard couldn't see, however, was the real cost of that simple gesture. That $1 was the difference between a 20-minute bus ride and a 90-minute walk home in the rain. Sara's life wasn't some sweet love story waiting to happen, it was a grind. It was a daily, silent battle, and the real drama was far from over. That gesture of kindness, which seemed so small to a man who owned the world. It was, for her, a genuine sacrifice. A sacrifice that had just put her on the radar of Howard Fields, for better or worse. He sat there for an hour, nursing the coffee, a silent observer in a world he only pretended to be part of. He watched her. He saw the genuine smile she gave the grumpy cook. He saw the tired lines around her eyes, the worn-out soles of her shoes. This single act of kindness was a life-changing event, but not in the way he thought. It didn't prove humanity was good. Oh, no. It just meant the test wasn't over. He had to dig deeper. He had to break her. He had to prove that this, too, was an act, a setup for a bigger ask. This simple, warm gesture, this coffee, was the first pebble in an avalanche. It had sealed a destiny that neither of them could possibly comprehend at that moment. The millionaire was testing the city's compassion, and he had just found his prime subject. Sara Dixon, oblivious, just hummed a quiet tune, counting down the minutes until her shift ended. She'd walk home, it was decided. Her feet would hurt, but her heart felt okay. She'd already forgotten the stranger in the booth. But the stranger, Mr. Howard Fields, would never, ever forget her. Sara Dixon's life was a masterclass in faking it till you make it, except she never quite made it. Her alarm was a daily funeral, waking her up before the sun to start her first of 2 jobs. The diner wasn't a career, it was a hamster wheel, and she was running just to stay still. Every dollar she earned was already spent on her mother's medical bills, her little brother's school supplies. This wasn't just a job, it was a lifeline, and it was fraying fast. The drama of her life was a quiet, grinding, internal affair, invisible to everyone. She was the poster child for working poor, a statistic just trying to feel like a person. Her apartment was small, the wallpaper peeling, the faucet dripping a constant rhythm of disrepair. This was the before picture in a rags to riches story that was missing the riches part. There was no rich man coming to save her, she was her own exhausted cavalry. This wasn't a love story, it was a survival story, plain and simple. She'd dream of opening a small kitchen, a place to feed people for free, but yeah, right. Dreams like that were for people who didn't have to choose between rent and antibiotics.
Her kindness was her only luxury, the only thing she could afford to give away. The diner itself was a special kind of purgatory, and her manager, a man named Stan, was its gatekeeper. Stan was a small man with a tiny mustache and a massive ego, a truly awful combination. He watched her like a hawk, not to ensure she did her job, but to find a reason to pounce. He seemed to personally resent her holier-than-thou attitude, which was really just decency. He was the kind of boss who would schedule a double, forget to log it, and then blame you. He was a constant low-grade drama, and he seemed to enjoy making Sara's life harder. He was, in short, a bully, had ridiculed her in front of customers, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, look. Sara burned the toast again. Can't you do anything right, sweetheart? Each sweetheart landed like a small slap, an act of public humiliation. And Sara, well, she had to just take it. She'd apologize, force a smile, and fix the toast. She couldn't afford to fight back. She couldn't afford to lose this soul-crushing job. She was humiliated on a daily basis, a slow erosion of her dignity. This constant stress was a heavy, emotional weight she carried with her everywhere. Her co-workers weren't much help. They were just as scared of Stan as she was. They'd look away, busying themselves with napkins or ketchup bottles when he started in on her. It was a lonely existence, being the target. Just keep smiling, Sara. Just get through the shift. This was her mantra, repeated over and over until the words lost all meaning. The kindness she showed the stranger Howard was the same kindness she tried to show everyone. But it was getting harder and harder to refill that well when it was being drained dry. This was the environment that Howard Fields, the secret millionaire, had stepped into. He saw a rundown diner, but he had no idea about the invisible power dynamics at play. He saw a kind waitress, but he didn't see the iron will it took to stay kind in a place like this. He had his kindness test, but he was blind to the real-world test. Sara was failing every day. She was struggling. She was drowning, and Stan was a foot on her head. The drama he was about to witness wasn't manufactured. It was brutally, painfully real. Howard had seen her kindness, but now he needed to see her breaking point. He had decided to return, to push her, to see when the mask of nice would finally slip. He wanted to find the greed, the desperation, the real person underneath. He, a millionaire playing a game, had no concept of Sara's reality. She wasn't playing a game. She was just trying to survive until Friday. Her struggle was a perfect, fertile ground for his cynical test. And Stan was about to be a very useful, unknowing pawn. Sara Dixon, meanwhile, just finished her shift, rubbing her aching feet as she started the long walk home. She had given her last dollar to a stranger who looked like he needed it. It was a simple, heart-touching act that she had already forgotten. She had no way of knowing that this stranger was a millionaire, and that he was about to intentionally, methodically try to destroy her. Her simple life, already a struggle, was about to become a shocking spectacle. The kindness test was about to get personal. Howard Fields wasn't just a rich man, he was a titan, an architect of the modern skyline. From his penthouse office, a glass and steel cage 80 stories in the air, he could see the entire city. But he didn't see people, he saw assets, liabilities, and mostly parasites. He was the CEO, the man whose signature could build empires or shatter them. He was powerful, he was brilliant, and he was down his very soul, completely and utterly empty. His life was a void filled with yes-men, gold diggers, and distant relatives with their hands out. He was the ultimate millionaire, and he was profoundly, miserably alone. His cynicism wasn't new, but it had calcified, hardened into a dark philosophy. He truly, deeply believed that every human action was transactional. Kindness? That was just a down payment on a future request. Charity? A public relations move to mask a private crime. Love story? Please. That was just a biological merger, a contract for assets. Had seen it all. Had lived it. Had paid to make it go away. The drama of his life was that he had everything and believed in nothing. So, he created the stranger. It began as a morbid curiosity. He called it his humanity project, though his board would have called it a psychotic break. Head vanished for days, trading his billion-dollar suit for filth-encrusted rags. He became the stranger, the invisible man, the one everyone looks away from. And from this vantage point, he conducted his kindness test, his social experiments. He'd lose a wallet full of cash. He'd beg for food outside his own 5-star restaurants. He wanted proof, just once, that he was wrong. But the world, boy, it just kept proving him right. Time and time again, he was kicked, ignored, spat on, or helped by people filming it for social media. He saw the greed. He saw performative, hollow gestures. His dark view of humanity wasn't just a theory, it was a conclusion based on field research. This persona, this game, it was his only hobby. It was a shocking way for a millionaire to spend his time, but it confirmed his bias. Everyone, he concluded, was driven by greed. There were no exceptions. Then, Sara Dixon, She was an anomaly, a data point that didn't fit the algorithm. Her kindness. It was quiet. It wasn't for an audience. It cost her something. This simple, heart-touching act of buying a coffee for a shivering stranger. It didn't just confuse Howard, it infuriated him. It meant his experiment was flawed. It meant he had to try again. She must have an angle. Nobody is just good. So, the secret millionaire became obsessed. He had to crack her. He had to find her price, her angle, her eventual betrayal. He couldn't just go back to his office, not until he solved the puzzle of Sara Dixon. His kindness test was no longer a general survey of the city. It had become a targeted, focused, and deeply personal mission. He would prove that her kindness was just a mask, just like everyone else's. He, Howard Fields, would personally unmask her. This wasn't about money anymore. Not really. It was about his entire worldview. If she was genuinely good, then his entire life, his cynicism, his loneliness, it was all a lie, a self-imposed prison. And that was a plot twist Howard Fields could not and would not accept. His identity as a rich man was built on a foundation that everyone else was poor in spirit. He needed Sara Dixon to be a fake. So he planned his return to the diner, not as a grateful man, but as a predator. He would put her through the ringer. He would be difficult, rude, impossible. He would lay traps. He would dangle bait. This stranger wasn't looking for a handout anymore. He was looking for the crack in her facade, the emotional breaking point. He was going to escalate the drama until she showed her true colors. The kindness test was entering phase 2, and it was going to be brutal. The next day, the stranger returned. Howard Fields, deep in character, shuffled into the diner during the chaotic lunch rush. He looked worse than before, more haggard, more agitated, a storm cloud in human form. He wasn't just a sad, cold man today, he was an angry one. He slumped into Sara Dixon's section, a strategic move, and immediately knocked a glass of water over. He barked at her for a menu, even though it was a greasy spoon with a menu on the wall. He was, in a word, a nightmare. "I want the special," he grumbled, "but no onions, no tomatoes, and the toast. Extra burnt." Sara just nodded, unfazed, a small, tired smile on her face. "Extra burnt, you got it. More coffee while you wait?" Her patience was a physical thing, a calm sea meeting his jagged rocks. He was trying to provoke her, to get a rise, to see the flash of emotional annoyance. He wanted her to snap, to tell him off, to reveal the real her. But Sara just kept being kind. He sent the food back. Twice. The first time, the toast wasn't burnt enough. It was black, come on. The second time, he found a hair, which he had, of course, plucked from his own wool cap. He was actively trying to get her humiliated by her manager, Stan, who was watching. "What's the drama here, Sara?" Stan yelled across the diner. "Can't you get one order right?" Sara's cheeks flushed, but she turned to Howard, her voice still impossibly steady. "I am so sorry about that, sir. Let me get you a completely new plate. On the house." This was not going according to plan. Howard Fields, the millionaire who could bend markets to his will, could not break this one waitress. His gruffness was met with patience. His insults were met with apologies. She was a fortress of kindness, and it was utterly baffling to him. He wasn't just confusing her, she was confusing him. It was a shocking reversal of power. He was a customer, he was the aggressor, but he felt weak. This wasn't part of the kindness test. This was something else. He watched her as she moved, a quiet whirlwind of efficiency and grace under pressure. She was handling 3 other tables, placating Stan, and refilling his coffee again. He felt a strange, unwelcome prickle of something. It wasn't gratitude. It was respect? No, that wasn't it. It was irritation. Why wouldn't she just break? Why wouldn't she just be the greedy, selfish human he knew she was? This stranger persona was starting to feel less like a disguise and more like his own frustration. Her unwavering politeness felt like a personal attack on his entire belief system. He kept pushing. "This coffee is cold," he snapped moments after she poured it. "This fork is dirty," he growled, after wiping on a clean napkin. He was being a monster, a cartoon villain of a customer. And Sara Dixon just kept serving. "Right away, sir. They'll get you a fresh one." Her kindness was a mirror, and the reflection it showed him was ugly. It was a heart-touching and horrifying realization all at once. He was a rich man, a secret millionaire, used to people cowering. People either feared him or wanted something from him. Sara, it seemed, did neither. She didn't know who he was, and she didn't seem to want anything. She was just doing her job, and doing it with a dignity that he, in his expensive suit, couldn't muster in his rags. This was a life-changing level of patience. He was supposed to be the one in control of this kindness test. He finally just threw a few crumpled bills on the table, more than enough, a test in itself, and stormed out. He didn't get the reaction he wanted. He didn't get the proof. He just felt empty and confused. Sara Dixon, oblivious to the existential drama she had just caused, simply cleared his plate. She saw the large tip, sighed, and put it in her pocket. She didn't feel victorious. She just felt tired. She hoped that stranger found some peace. But Howard Fields wasn't looking for peace. He was looking for a war. The next day, Howard Fields was back, lurking in his usual corner booth, a silent stranger. He was nursing his free coffee, the kindness test now a daily, obsessive ritual. He was waiting for the crack, the moment the kindness would run out. And then it happened, but it wasn't him. A new customer walked in, a man who was the opposite of Howard's disguise. He was a rich man, or at least. He reeked of new money and cheap cologne. He snapped his fingers for service, his face a mask of bored arrogance. He ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, which at a diner isn't saying much. And then he proceeded to complain about everything. The booth was wobbly. The lighting was peasant level. The coffee tasted like mud. Sara Dixon, ever professional, just smiled her strained smile. "They'll get you a fresh pot. Sir, I'm sorry you're not enjoying it." But this guy wasn't looking for solutions. He was looking for a target. Howard realized with a jolt, a mirror of Howard's own behavior. Just louder. The climax of this little drama came when Sara delivered his steak, medium rare. The man took one look, picked up the plate, and sniffed it with theatrical disgust. "What is this?" I said medium rare. Not this. This is garbage." He wasn't just rude, he was cruel. And then, in a shocking move, he accidentally tipped the plate, sending hot gravy all over Sara's arm. She yelped a small, sharp sound of pain and jumped back, her arm bright red. The entire diner went silent. Howard, the secret millionaire, sat frozen, watching the scene unfold. This was it. This was the breaking point. Now she would scream, she would cry, she would fight, but she didn't. Sara just clenched her jaw, tears of pain and humiliation welling in her eyes, and started to dab at her arm. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get that cleaned up and bring you a new one." It was the most heart-touching display of dignity Howard had ever witnessed. She was humiliated, burned, and she was apologizing. Before she could move, Stan, the weasel manager, scurried over. "What's going on here?" He snapped, his eyes on the rich man, not his injured employee. The customer immediately pointed a finger at Sara. That waitress. She's incompetent. She spilled this. This filth. All over me. It was a blatant, outrageous lie. Howard almost choked on his coffee. This is unbelievable. He was witnessing a masterclass in human awfulness, and he was just a spectator. The stranger, was invisible. And then the ultimate betrayal. Stan, seeing the man's expensive watch and alligator skin shoes, made a calculation. He turned on Sara, his voice dripping with false concern for the customer. "Sara, what is wrong with you? Apologize to the gentleman right now, and am docking this from your pay." He sided with the customer. He humiliated his own staff to appease a bully. This emotional gut punch was so profound. Howard could feel it from across the room. This wasn't a kindness test anymore. This was a public execution. Sara Dixon stood there, surrounded, burned, falsely accused, betrayed by her boss, and Howard watched, stunned. As she took a shaky breath, she looked at the floor, her voice barely a whisper. but clear in the silent diner's eye. "I am so sorry, sir. It won't happen again. Please forgive me." She apologized. She just apologized to keep her job, to keep the peace as she maintained her dignity by sacrificing her pride, a transaction that baffled Howard at her kindness. It wasn't a mask, it was armor. Howard Fields felt a strange, hot wave of rage. It was an emotion he hadn't felt in years, not a cold, calculated anger, but a hot, protective one. He hated the rich man at the table, he hated the manager, and he was stunned by the woman who was quietly cleaning up gravy while blinking back tears. He was a millionaire, a man of action, and he was sitting there doing nothing. This was a new, life-changing variable in his experiment. He didn't just see her kindness. He was seeing her strength after the emotional hurricane of the gravy incident. Howard was reeling to his entire kindness test felt. Juvenile, insufficient, he had been testing her patience, but the world was testing her soul. He had to escalate. He had to know if his integrity was real or just for show. So he devised the oldest test in the book, but with a plot twist, he accidentally let his wallet slip from his ragged coat pocket onto the floor by the booth. It was a worn, battered leather wallet and to anyone looking, it appeared emptied. He paid for his coffee with change, stood up, and shuffled out the door, every fiber on alert. He was a stranger disappearing into the bustling street. He made it 10 feet, 20 point, 30. He thought, a bitter taste in his mouth. So that's it. She saw it. She kept it. He was perversely, almost relieved. His dark worldview was back in order. The kindness was a fluke. The integrity was a show. True love for humanity was a joke. And then he heard it. Sir, wait. You forgot something. He turned, and there was Sara Dixon running out of breath, holding the disgusting wallet. She wasn't supposed to do that. The wallet was empty. There was no reward. "You dropped this," she panted, holding it out, her chest heaving. She hadn't even looked inside. If she had, she'd have seen it was just paper. This wasn't about a reward. This was that integrity, that pure, unadulterated integrity. It was a surprise so profound it felt like a physical blow at Howard. Staying in character, grunted and snatched the wallet. He had to complete the test. He had to find the greed. He fumbled in his pocket and pulled out a $5 bill, a huge tip for a stranger here. He mumbled that, "For your trouble, this was the real test. The kindness was free, but would she accept payment for honesty?" Sara looked at the $5 bill, then back at his face, and just shook her head. "No, sir, I don't want that. I'm just glad I caught you. You'd have a good day." She smiled, a real smile, not the tired diner one, and turned and ran back to work. Howard Field stood on the sidewalk, a millionaire in rags, holding a $5 bill. He was completely, totally, and utterly a wreck. She chased him down for an empty wallet and refused a reward. His cynical worldview, the one he had built like a fortress. Not a single underpaid waitress had just found the crack and planted a flower in it. It was hell. It was heart-touching. He stumbled to a nearby park bench, the noise of the city fading to a dull roar. He opened the empty wallet that tucked inside a hidden flap was a single crisp 100 bill. She hadn't looked at, she hadn't checked, she hadn't weighed the options. She just did the right thing because it was the right thing. The simple act of integrity was the biggest plot twist in his life. His entire kindness test was predicated on the idea that everyone had a price of Sara Dixon's price. It seemed was zero. That this was the moment the drama shifted. It was no longer his test of her. It was her existence testing him. His gratitude was a foreign, rusty feeling emotion, but it was there. It was mixing with a terrible, dawning shame. Who was he to test her? He, Howard Fields, the rich man, was morally bankrupt compared to this woman. This life-changing realization was just the beginning to his dark view of humanity had just met its first undeniable exception. Let's be real for a second. That wallet hits the floor. That you're broke. You know it's empty. Do you still chase him down the street? Be honest in the comments. What would you really have done? Howard couldn't stay away. His kindness test was officially over. And something else had begun. It was research and no penance. He didn't know what it was, but he had to be near her. He kept visiting the diner, but his demeanor changed. The stranger was no longer gruff or demanding. He was quiet. He sat in his corner booth, watching, listening. A ghost at the feast, he tipped modestly, not to arouse suspicion, and he started to listen to her. He heard her interactions with the other staff, the regulars. He was piecing together the real drama of Sara Dixon's life. He learned about her mother's medical bills from a whispered, desperate phone call she took by the kitchen that I know the payment is late. That I just need one more week, please. He learned about her little brother, who she was putting through community college that you will finish. He heard her whisper to a photo she kept in her locker. This wasn't a job for her. It was a sacrifice. Her entire life was an act of kindness and self-denial. This realization hit Howard, the secret millionaire, like a ton of bricks point one slow afternoon. There was almost no one in the diner. Howard, the stranger, was nursing a cup of tea, and Sara was idly wiping down the counter. He mumbled, that you're always so. That nice. It was the first real thing had said to her. That Sara stopped, surprised. She looked at him, really looked at him. That it's easy to be nice. It's just hard to be tired, she sighed, then gave him a small, conspiratorial smile. You know what I really want to do. It's going to sound stupid. Howard just nodded, holding his breath. This millionaire in disguise, I want to open a kitchen, she said, her eyes getting a distant, dreamy look at not a restaurant, a kitchen, a place where people who are hungry can just come and eat. She wasn't talking about a business. She was talking about a mission. No fancy menus, no prices, just a good, hot food at a place to feel safe. This was her dream. A community kitchen. This wasn't a love story with a man. This was a true love for her community. Howard asked, his voice rough. Why? Why don't you? Sara let out a short, bitter laugh. Oh, come on, look where that takes. Money, and I've got. This, she gestured to the diner, the greasy floors, her worn-out apron. Every penny I make goes to keeping my family afloat. That's the drama. She was sacrificing her dream, this life-changing ambition. For her family, she wasn't humiliated by it. She was just realistic. It was a simple, heartbreaking fact of her life. This confession was the most emotional, heart-touching thing Howard had ever heard. A rich man used money to build monuments to himself. She, a poor woman, dreamed of using money just to feed people. The contrast was so shocking, so profound. It almost made him ill. Her dream wasn't just a dream. It was a form of redemption for a world he saw as broken. She wasn't just good. She was better than him, better than all of them. He sat there, this powerful millionaire, feeling utterly powerless. He wanted, right there and then, to write her a check for $1 million. But he couldn't, not as a stranger. That would just be a rich man solving a problem with a wallet. It wouldn't mean anything. It would be a transaction, what he felt for her. This deep, profound gratitude. It was beyond money. Or was it? He was confused. As he left the diner, his mind was a whirlwind. This woman, Sara Dixon, was a puzzle he finally understood. She wasn't just a kind person, she was a force of kindness. She had a dream, a life-changing dream that she was sacrificing. And Howard Fields, the secret millionaire, he was, perhaps, the only person on earth who could make that dream a reality. Destiny, he thought. What a strange thing. The false defeat was coming. The re-engagement hook. Howard felt good. He had a plan. He was going to help this woman. His redemption felt close. He was still visiting the diner as a stranger, but now he was an angel in disguise, not a demon. He was just waiting for the right moment, the right way to intervene. But destiny, as it turns in a drama, had a different plot twist in mind. And it came in the form of Stan, the manager. Stan, it turned out, had his own set of financial problems. The diner was struggling, and Stan had been skimming from the register. But as the end of the month loomed, he was short, very short. He needed a scapegoat, a distraction, and his eyes landed on Sara Dixon, the perfect employee, the one everyone liked. Perfect. Stan hated perfect. He saw her tips, the extra dollars regulars would press into her hand. He decided, in a moment of pure, venomous malice, to frame her. He would solve his money problem and get rid of the employee that made him feel small. It happened at the end of a long, brutal double shift. Sara was exhausted, her feet throbbing, her kindness wearing thin. Howard was in his booth, the secret millionaire watching, as always. Stan called Sara to the front, his voice sickly sweet. "Sara, can you come here a moment?" He pointed to the register. It's short. Again. About 200. Sara's blood ran cold. "What? Stan, I haven't been on the register all day. Haven't you?" Stan said, raising his voice just enough for the other staff to hear. "Because it's funny," Stan said, pulling out the communal tip jar. "It feels light." He dramatically appended the jar on the counter. It was almost empty. "Where's the rest of it, Sara? What are you talking about?" Sara's voice was trembling. That's all there was." "Really?" Stan shouted, and the whole diner stopped. "Because I saw you," he lied, his voice dripping with fake disgust. "I saw you dipping into that jar when you thought no one was looking." It was a shocking, brazen, and utterly false accusation. Sara's face crumpled. It was the look of someone being shot and not understanding why. "Stan, no, I would never. You know me. I wouldn't." This wasn't just an accusation of theft. It was an assassination of her character. She wasn't just humiliated, she was broken. Her integrity, the one thing she had left, was being publicly torched. This emotional devastation was 1,000 times worse than the Gravy incident. This, Howard watched, horrified, is how she breaks. "Please," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I didn't. "Save it," Stan spat. "I knew there was something off about you." He had, of course, pocketed the tip money himself just an hour earlier. He was using her as a shield, and it was working. The other waitresses looked away, scared for their own jobs. Sara stood alone, completely and utterly framed. She was heart-touching in her despair, and it was a terrible, terrible sight. Howard, the millionaire, sat in his booth, frozen in disbelief. This was not part of the plan. This was a drama he hadn't anticipated. He was watching the one good person he had found in the world be destroyed, and he, the silent stranger, was once again just watching. He couldn't intervene. How could he? The hobo in the corner? They'd laugh him out of the building. The plot twist was that his disguise, his kindness test, it had become a trap. He had all the power in the world, and in that moment, he had none. He was a rich man forced to watch a good woman be framed for 200. Sara was sobbing, heartbroken by the false accusation. She wasn't just fired. She was erased. And Howard just sat there. This was a false defeat. The nadir. Howard Fields didn't see the truth. He couldn't see it. He saw what he was programmed to see. He saw a woman, accused of theft, with no defense. He saw the other employees turning away, offering no support. He didn't see Stan's lie, he saw Sara's guilt. His cynical worldview, which had been cracked by her kindness, now slammed shut, harder than ever. Of course, it was all an act. The wallet, the coffee, the dream of a kitchen. It was all a con, a long game con. She was building a reputation for kindness, so she could get away with this. She was no different. She was worse. She was a shocking, brilliant, manipulative actress. This plot twist didn't break his heart, it confirmed it. His kind. It was a betrayal. As Sara, sobbing and humiliated, gathered her jacket, Howard stood up. The stranger was no longer quiet. He was shaking, but with rage, not cold. Sara looked at him, her eyes pleading for one friendly face. She saw the man she had given her last dollar to. She saw the man she had confided in, the man she had protected, and his face was pure, unadulterated contempt. This was the emotional blow that would finally fell her. I knew it. Howard's voice was a low, vicious growl. Sara stopped, her hand on the door. "What?" "I knew it," he roared, and the whole diner, Stan included, froze. The hobo was speaking. All that kindness, all that sweet, heart-touching nonsense. He spat the words out. It was all just a show. He, the secret millionaire, was lashing out from his disguise. He wasn't Howard Fields, CEO. He was the wounded, cynical stranger. "You're just like them," he yelled, jabbing a finger at her. "You're just a thief, a liar, that whole community kitchen." He laughed, a truly terrible sound. That was just a setup, wasn't it? To make us all feel sorry for you? He was destroying her dream, piece by piece. This wasn't just an accusation. It was a character execution. And it was coming from the one person she thought she had helped. This was a kindness test in reverse. And she was failing. Sara just stared. She had been accused by her boss, which hurt. But this was worse. This was the man who represented every good deed she had ever done. And he was telling her she was poison. She didn't say a word. She couldn't. The drama was so thick, so toxic. It was unbreathable. She had been humiliated. Now, she was simply erased. She turned and fled, pushing the door open, running out into the rain, jobless, hopeless. Her heart wasn't just broken. It was gone. She had lost her job, her reputation, and her faith in humanity in a single, shocking day. And the cruel words of the stranger were the ones that echoed the loudest. It was the ultimate plot twist, the most painful one. The person she saved had just damned her. This was a life-changing moment of pure devastation. Howard stood there, trembling, his chest heaving. He felt victorious, vindicated. His dark worldview was correct. Kindness was a lie. Stan, the manager, even clapped him on the shoulder. See? Even he knew Howard had proof of humanity's corruption. But as the adrenaline faded, a new, cold feeling crept in. He had seen Sara's face. Her expression. It wasn't the look of a con artist caught. It was the look of true love being murdered. What one word, just one, describes Howard's actions in that moment? Drop it in the comments. Let's see if we're all thinking the same thing. The rain was cold, but Sara Dixon barely felt it. She was walking, but she didn't know where. The sound of the city, the horns, the sirens, the peep light was all a dull, distant roar. The only sound she could hear was the echo of his voice. I knew it. It was all just a show. The words of the stranger, the man she had shown kindness, were knives. They had found the one part of her that was still soft and had twisted. She had been fired. But that wasn't the worst part. She had been humiliated by her boss, Stan, and that was predictable. He was a small, cruel man. That's what small, cruel men do. But the betrayal from the stranger, that was shocking. That was the plot twist that had shattered her. She had protected him. She had confided in him. She had seen a piece of herself in his supposed misery. And he had seen a thief. Her emotional devastation was complete. She had lost her job. This wasn't a minor setback. It was a catastrophe. This was a job that paid for her mother's medicine. This was the job that kept her brother in school. This was the job that kept a roof over their heads. The drama of her life had just escalated from a struggle to a full-blown crisis. In a single day, she had lost her income and her hope. It was a life-changing execution. She finally made it back to her tiny, peeling wallpaper apartment. It felt different. It no longer felt like a safe haven. It felt like a trap, a countdown clock. How would she make rent? The eviction notice she had been dreading was now an inevitability. Her dream of a community kitchen. She almost laughed. What a joke. What a child she had been. Howard Fields, in his disguise, had been right about one thing. It was a stupid dream. She sat on her bed, still in her damp, gravy-stained uniform. She didn't cry. She was past tears. This was a hollowing gout, a spiritual bankruptcy. She had spent her entire life believing that kindness was a currency, that if you put good out, good would eventually come back. What a lie. Her kindness hadn't just cost her nothing, it had cost her everything. The kindness test was a fraud, and she was the punchline. There would be no love story. There would be no redemption. There was no rich man coming to save her, and no true love on the horizon. There was just the cold, Hard reality of the first of the month. Sara Dixon, the woman with the heart-touching dream, was gone. In her place was just a person, defeated. The false accusation had been the bullet, but the cruel words of the stranger, that was what had killed her. This was the absolute bottom, the false defeat in its purest form. She had no job, no money, no reputation, and, most importantly, no hope. The world, it seemed, was exactly as dark and cynical as that stranger said it was. Maybe he was right. Maybe everyone was just a thief. And maybe she was just the last one to figure it out. The secret millionaire's prophecy had become self-fulfilling. And for Howard Fields, he had left the diner, smug and vindicated. His kindness test was finally, definitively over. He had his proof. Humanity was corrupt. Sara Dixon was a fraud. He could go back to his life as a millionaire, his cynicism intact. He should have felt relieved. So why did he, as he sat in the back of his phantom quiet limo, feel so sick to his stomach? Howard returns to his office, tormented by Sara's heartbroken expression. He reviews the diner security footage which he secretly had installed, and is horrified to see the manager stealing the money and framing Sara. Howard Fields was back in his glass tower, but the view felt different. He was clean, shaved, and dressed in a 10,000 suit. The stranger was gone, but the man, the millionaire, felt haunted. He couldn't shake the look on Sara Dixon's face. That look of utter, soul-crushing betrayal. It wasn't the look of a con artist being caught. Had seen that look. This was different. This was the look of innocence. Don't be stupid, Howard. You saw the proof. But the proof felt wrong. His victory felt hollow. His I knew it echoed in his empty penthouse. That emotional image of her face, crumpled in despair. It was tormenting him. He was a man who trusted data, not feelings. And the data was her word against Stan's. But, he thought, what if there was more data? He was, after all, Howard Fields. He didn't just play games. He rigged them. He had installed a small, high-resolution security camera in the diner weeks ago, just to monitor the kindness test. Had told himself. It fed to a private, encrypted server. He hadn't looked at it yet. Head wanted the raw human experience. Now he needed the truth. He sat at his obsidian desk, pulled up the footage, and his blood ran cold. This was the ultimate plot twist. The surprise was so shocking it literally knocked the air from his lungs. He fast-forwarded to 1 hour before the drama. He watched, in crystal-clear 4K, as Stan, the manager, looked around nervously. He saw him walk to the tip jar. He saw him empty all the bills into his pocket. He saw him then move to the register and pocket. All of it. It was brazen. It was evil. Howard felt a wave of nausea. He had been so wrong. He kept watching, his horror mounting. He saw the confrontation. He saw Sara's genuine confusion. He saw her devastation as she was humiliated and framed. And then, he saw himself. He watched as a stranger, his own pathetic disguise, stood up and attacked her. He watched objectively as he, Howard Fields, ripped apart a woman who was completely 100. Innocent. The secret millionaire hit pause. The screen was frozen on his own face, twisted in rage, and Saras, shattered by his words. He wasn't just an observer. He wasn't just a tester. He was a participant. He was, in fact, the villain of this love story. He had been the final blow. He had been the one to break her. This life-changing realization was the worst moment of Howard's entire, privileged life. He was horrified. He was ashamed. This wasn't a kindness test. This was a mauling. He had joined the mob. He had believed a lie because it was easier. It was easier than believing someone could actually be good. His cynicism hadn't protected him. It had made him a fool. And, in the process, he had destroyed the one person who had shown him any real kindness. He didn't just feel bad. He felt guilty, a profound, all-consuming guilt. He, the rich man, had used his power to nothing. He had used his disguise to hurt her. This was his rock bottom, the redemption he thought he was close to. He was further from it than ever. He had to fix this. Shame. It was a new, terrible flavor. Howard Fields hadn't felt shame in decades. He felt regret. He felt fury. But shame? This was different. This was a life-changing, gut-wrenching, emotional fire. He stared at the frozen image of his own cruelty. The stranger in the video was him. The monster was him. His kindness test was an abomination, an arrogant, cruel game played by a bored rich man. And he had just victimized the only innocent person he had ever met, Sara Dixon. Okay, he closed the laptop. The decision was instantaneous. The time for games, for disguises, for tests was over. The secret millionaire persona was dead, buried. He felt a powerful new emotion surging through him, and it was rage. Rage at Stan. Rage at the customer who threw the gravy. But most awful, a white-hot, purifying rage at himself. This was the moment of redemption, or damnation. He had to choose. He walked to his closet, a room the size of Sara's apartment. He didn't put on the rags. He didn't put on the 10,000 suit. He put on armor, a perfectly tailored, dark navy blue suit, a crisp white shirt, a powered tie. He was no longer the stranger. He was no longer the cynical observer. He was Howard Fields, the millionaire, the owner. Oh, yes, that part was important. He hadn't just been testing the diner. He owned the building. Stan was technically his tenant's employee. He made 3 phone calls. The first was to his head of security. Pull the full, unedited footage from the Rosebud asset. Have it messengered to me. Now, the second was to his lawyer. Meet me at the 24-hour diner at 11:30 a.m. Bring the papers. We discussed for the lease termination. Yes, that one. The third was to a private investigator. Find Sara Dixon. I don't care where she is. I need an address. I need to know she's safe. This was the surprise of his full power. When Howard Fields moved, the world shook. He was a force of nature, a hurricane of gratitude and shame. He wasn't just going to apologize. Apologies were cheap. He, a rich man, was going to fix this. He was going to use the power he had so often despised to deliver a form of justice so swift, so total. It would be shocking. This wasn't a kindness test anymore. This was a reckoning. He was about to unleash his full power as a millionaire. But there was a plot twist. For the first time in his life, he wasn't doing it for himself. He wasn't doing it for profit or leverage or to prove a point. He was doing it for her. He was doing it because of her kindness. This wasn't just redemption. This was new. It felt heart-touching. He looked in the mirror. The cold, cynical eyes were gone. In their place was fire. Destiny had played a very funny, very cruel joke. It had taken him being humiliated by his own actions to finally feel human. The stranger was gone. Howard Fields was back, and hell was coming with him. Are you ready to see this play out? Tap that like button right now as a sign of respect. This next part is the justice we've been waiting for. The lunch rush was in full swing. The diner was loud, greasy, and miserable. Stan was barking orders. The staff was on edge, still whispering about Sara's shocking firing. The air was thick with tension and the smell of burnt onions. And then, at exactly 11:30 a.m., the door opened. The bell didn't just chime, it told. The stranger was gone. In his place stood Howard Fields. He was flanked by 2 men in suits, one of whom was his lawyer. He didn't look like a customer. He looked like he was there to buy the air. The entire diner went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. On a carpet, Stan, seeing the expensive suits, immediately put on his greasy, fake smile. Gentlemen, welcome. Table for 3? Howard just looked at him. A cold, flat, reptilian stare. The stare of a millionaire about to execute a hostile takeover. Are you Stan Kowalski? Howard asked, his voice calm, but sharp as glass. Stan's smile faltered. Yeah, that's me. What's this about? It's about this, Howard said, as his lawyer handed Stan a thick envelope. That is a notice of lease termination for this establishment, effective in 30 days. What? You can't. Who are you? My name is Howard Fields, he said, loud enough for the entire diner to hear. I am the rich man who owns this building, and am terminating your boss lease. The staff gasped. This was a plot twist nobody saw coming. But why? Stan was sweating, his little mustache twitching. Oh, I think you know why, Stan, Howard said. He turned to the petrified staff. I'm sure you were all wondering what happened to your co-worker, Sara Dixon. He let the name hang in the air to Mr. Kowalski here. He said the name like it was something had scraped off his shoe, fired her out for theft, specifically for stealing $200 from the register, and the tip jar. The drama was so thick, it was... That delicious, he's a liar, Stan shouted, his face purpled. Am I? Howard said, pulling a tablet from his briefcase. Because this is a video. He turned the tablet to the staff. This is from yesterday at 3:15 p.m. He pressed play, and the entire staff watched in silent, shocking horror. That as Stan, their boss, was caught red-handed, shoving tip money and register cash into his pockets. It was undeniable. The surprise was that absolute. Stan's face went from purple to white. He was humiliated. You framed her, one of the waitresses whispered, her eyes wide. You framed an innocent woman. And you, Howard said, his voice dropping to an arctic chill. All watched. He let that land. He let them feel the weight of their own silence. But as for you, Stan, you're not just fired, you're arrested as if on cue. Two uniformed police officers who had been waiting outside walked in. This is assault, Howard said, his voice finally rising. Theft, slandered. This millionaire is pressing full charges as the officers cuffed a blubbering, protesting Stan. Howard looked at the staff. This diner is closed, effective immediately. For renovations. This was his redemption. Step one, it wasn't kindness, it was justice. He had exposed the theft. He had cleared Sarah's name. Now, for the hard part, finding the woman whose life-changing trust he had personally, brutally annihilated. The private investigator was good, too good. The head found Sara Dixon in less than an hour at the address, however, was not her apartment. It was a homeless shelter. Wait, no, the report was updated. She was at her apartment. But she was being evicted. Right now, to Howard's blood ran cold. He had set this in motion. His drama had created this. A crisis. He drove there, his heart pounding a rhythm of pleas. He found her on the sidewalk, surrounded by a few sad cardboard boxes, a stained mattress, a lamp, a box of books. The landlord, a grumpy-looking man, was taping an eviction notice at the door. Sara was just sitting on the steps, her face blanked. She was beyond tears. She was in that emotional void. She was humiliated, broken, and done. She looked up as the multi-million-dollar car pulled up, and her eyes, they didn't even register him. He stepped out in his suit, and she flinched. She thought he was another person coming to. I yelled at her, Sara. He said, his voice thick. She looked, and her face went from blank to confused. I know you. She whispered. He looked. Familiar. Yes. He said, you do. You gave me coffee. The realization hit her like a physical slap. The stranger. It was a stranger. But clean. In a suit. He was a rich man. What? What is this? She whispered, her voice trembling. Is this another joke? No, Howard said, his voice breaking. This is an apology. And so, on a dirty city sidewalk, surrounded by her meager possessions, the secret millionaire confessed everything. His name, his identity, the kindness test, his disgusting, cynical, arrogant test. He told her about the camera, about knowing Stan framed her. He held nothing back. He was, in that moment, as humiliated as she was. Sara, just listen. She didn't get angry. She didn't cry. She just that absorbed it. The plot twist was so shocking, so bizarre, it was almost funny. The stranger she had given her last dollar to was a millionaire playing that game. Her life, that her job, her home was all just that collateral damage. In a game, I got Stan arrested. He offered lamely, he's in jail. Sara just nodded. It didn't matter. That I will give you anything, Howard said, his voice desperate. A new apartment, that your job back, that money. That I am a rich man. He was begging. This titan of industry was begging her to what? Forgive him? He had played God, and he had failed. This was his redemption, and it was pathetic. Sara finally spoke, her voice quiet, but hard as steel. Your test, she said, the word dripping with contempt. You watched me get burned. Sara, you believed him. You yelled at me. This was the crux. This was a wound. You broke me. And with that, she finally cried, not for her job or her apartment, but for the kindness she had shown and the cruelty she had gotten in return. This emotional confession, it was just the beginning. Howard acted fast. He couldn't leave her on the street. He put her and her family up in a luxury hotel suite, a temporary measure. He paid off her mother's medical debt. Poof, gone. He set up a trust for her brother's college. Done. He was a rich man solving problems with a checkbook, and it felt empty. Sara was just numb. She was safe, but she wasn't. There, he had broken her spirit, and money couldn't fix that. This is just more money, she told him, her voice quiet. It's not real. Howard realized his mistake. He had bought her. He had tried to use his gratitude like a weapon to erase his guilt. He had to prove his redemption was real. He had to earn it. So he did something shocking. He called a press conference. Not that. He called the staff of the diner, all of whom were now unemployed, to a meeting. And he apologized publicly. He told them the whole love story. Well, the whole drama. I was wrong, he told them. My kindness test was a failure. I failed her. He announced he was reopening the diner, not as a diner, but as a community project. And he was offering them all their jobs back at double their salary. But he had to earn Sara's trust first. She was hesitant. I don't know you, Howard. Not really. I knew the stranger, and I know the millionaire. But who are you? She gave him a test, a real kindness test. You want to help? She said, her eyes finding a spark for the first time. I've been volunteering at a soup kitchen downtown. They're short-staffed. Tomorrow, 5 a.m. It was a challenge. The millionaire at 5 a.m. serving soup. Howard Fields, the man who hadn't dressed himself in 20 years, just nodded. He'll be there. And he was for a week. He showed up in jeans and a t-shirt. No lawyers, no entourage. And he worked. He scrubbed pots. He chopped onions until his eyes burned. He served food to men who looked just like that his stranger disguise. It was humiliating. And heart-touching. He was earning his redemption. One bowl of soup at a time. And Sara watched him. She saw him. She saw the rich man that served as she worked by his side. They didn't talk about they just worked. They were just two people being kind. And a strange new destiny was being forged. A real true love for humanity. He wasn't a millionaire. She wasn't a victim. They were just Howard and Sara. And as the week ended, she finally smiled at him, a real one. It was the most life-changing reward he had ever received. The week of scrubbing pots was. Life-changing to Howard Fields, a millionaire, had found a purpose beyond profit. He had earned back that a piece, that of Sara Dixon's trust that he had earned, that his own, that respect, his redemption wasn't a destination. It was a practice and it was time to practice. On a grander scale, he told Sara to meet him at the old diner. I have something to show you, he said, his voice nervous for the first time. He was the one. That vulnerable when she arrived. The Rosebud diner sign was gone. The windows weren't boarded up. They were. That cleaned in its place. A simple, elegant new sign. The Sara Dixon Community Kitchen. Sara. That stopped it, she thought. That she thought her dream was dead, she thought. This was shocking. This was too much. That this wasn't a kindness test. This was everything Howard. She whispered, her hand over her mouth. He just smiled, a small, nervous smile at you. You had the dream. He said listen, for once, he held out a set of keys. It's all yours, fully funded, forever, a limitless gratitude. Fund. He was rambling, the rich man was. That babbling, this emotional. That moment, that everything. She didn't take the keys, she looked at him, this isn't, that money, is it? She asked. No, he said, his voice thick, this is, that justice, this is, that hope, this was a love story, but not the one, that thought, that it wasn't romance, that in the traditional sense, that it was true love, that it was two, that souls, that finding, that each other. Sara took the keys to her dream, that in her hand, this stranger, that this secret millionaire, that he had been her, that test her, that curse, and now, her destiny, that your kindness. Howard said, his voice rawed at it, that it didn't just cost nothing, Sara, that saved me, Howard Fields, that was, that crying, he had been humiliated, that by his, that own, that heart, Sara, that hug him, she hugged, that the millionaire who had destroyed her and that rebuilt, that her, this was redemption, for, that both of them, the drama, that was, that over the plot twist, that was, that love, that true love, that ultimate, that reward, their kindness, that his gratitude, that a heart-touching, life-changing, that end, or a beginning. In the end, Howard and Sara's story isn't about money, it's about the value of something priceless. This life-changing journey reminds us that a single act of kindness can literally change someone's world, and that true redemption isn't bought, it's earned. Their story is a powerful reminder that the greatest wealth we have isn't in our bank accounts, but in our capacity to see the value in each other, even when the world tests us. They found true love not in a fairy tale romance, but in mutual gratitude. If you also believe that compassion is the world's most valuable currency, and that kindness is a true superpower, then you have found your place. Your destiny brought you here. We aren't just a channel, we are a community that believes in the power of heart-touching stories. Subscribe now and join us in celebrating the best of humanity. Be part of this mission to spread the message like this video as a sign of respect for Sara's courage and Howard's redemption. Comment below what was your emotion when the plot twist of the theft was revealed. We want to know. And share this story with someone who needs a reminder that good-hearted people still exist. And while you wait for our next story, don't go anywhere. Our channel is a treasure chest filled with emotional narratives just like this one. Explore our older videos and discover other unforgettable journeys, full of drama and hope. Binge our back catalog and find your next favorite story. We have so many more shocking twists and emotional moments planned for you. To make sure you don't miss a single one of the incredible stories we have yet to tell, this is the moment. Hit that notification bell right now to stay updated with every new upload. You truly don't want to be left out of the next emotional roller coaster.